And hello guys, today is Friday, and so that means another episode, or two, of Steinsgate. So, we are pretty much full speed ahead into the main story, which, as far as I know right now, concerns Mayushi, being fated to die on August 13th at 8 p.m., right? So, due to the particular mechanics of this world, there seems to be one main timeline, and a set event at this set point in time where Mayushi is fated to die, right? So, of course, we must protect the Tuturu, so we don't want her to die. So how can we achieve that? Well, if it's really set, if it's so hard or so stubborn to change this, the only way, at least what that I think, that we can change it is by going further and further back through time to mess up all the events leading up to her death, right? At least that's what my theory is, or my take is on the entire situation. And so that's what I also expect Okabe to be doing within this episode as well. Now, of course, I know that he wants to, you guys explain, he wants to have some kind of control, and so using the time leap ensures that at least all the events will be similar to what he's already familiar with. But sometimes you just gotta reset the whole thing, right? Like for instance, if like when you're playing an RPG or a game and then you save right before a boss battle, and yet you can never beat that boss because you're under leveled or you're missing some critical items, right? And well, what can you do? You can only go further to a more earlier save point. And if it's one of those crappy or early games where you only have one save point, well, you gotta restart the game, right? And so that's what I assume we will be seeing here. Although that's not set in stone yet, because I'm still not 100% sure that that is actually what the entire situation is. But in any case, let's just find out together right now. Alrighty, let's begin in 3, 2, 1, play. Boom. Okay, so we already did this tons of times. Yeah, this is pretty much fate, alright. No, I don't think it's just the entire world, it's probably the entire universe. Well, how exactly is she going to die? Oh, like this? You know, how is it that Okabe never died in any of these situations? That's... Is it also a case of fate wills it? Like, if he died, then this whole thing would be over, right? Look, just use the frickin' D-mail. Or at least go back to some time before 3 hours. Alright. Hmm? 232. Has it ever occurred to you to maybe go back a little further in time? Directly confronting. But this isn't gonna change anything, right? This isn't gonna help anything. She dies regardless. Oh? Hmm. Well, no shit. Yeah. Like, what would happen if Okabe dies? Right? Like, even if you do that, you already know that Mayuri's gonna die regardless. Even if it's not from the hands of CERN. Or whoever these guys are. .456? Dude, can you use your... Dude. Dude. At least somebody is kind of has brains around here. Maybe use the time leap right after you use the time leap, or try to change it to using the D-mail. I don't know. uh, Jojo. Aww. Whoa. Yeah, no shit. My fork. What? There we go. Going back a little bit further. It's nice. They can reuse scenes without anybody faulting them for this. Hmm? Oh, you're saying the same thing. No, that's way too. But then Kurisu will probably. Just say the pass code or whatever phrase that is. Yay. Oh, that's a nice smile. Around there. Yeah. That's right. Exactly. That's still fatalism in a way, just not that. A beta world. Oh, there actually is a divergence meter. Oh. But they all go to the same place. Ah ha ha! Yeah. Yeah. Love it. Hmm. Okay. Hmm? What are you trying to do? But why is she climbing the roof? Okay. So this would be more akin to the actual different universes that the original interpretation of quantum mechanics would be. Those are major events? Alright. I don't see anything major about the 1991 Iraq War, but okay. There we go. She's John Titor. There we go. Alright, I'm not gonna watch the previews, so I'll see you guys in a second. Alrighty, so we finally got a lot of answers to our questions, or at least to my questions, and to my predictions, right? And thankfully, a lot of them are more or less correct. So, Suzu is indeed a time traveler from the future, and she is indeed the infamous John Titor, right? And also we get confirmation about how some of the mechanics of time travel works in this world. Specifically, I do really like the sort of analogy that Suzu used with the rope and the threads and then different ropes. I thought that was a pretty clever way of explaining things. Now, it's definitely quite different from the normal explanation of multi-world interpretation of quantum mechanics, but I don't begrudge it for that. I don't think that it's necessary to be 100% scientifically accurate or whatnot. As long as it's internally consistent, it's nice, right? It does provide a unique twist to this whole situation, especially in terms of its flow of time, right? So one thing I found kind of amusing this episode was the fact that Kirusu and Okabe were both very adamant on saying that they don't believe in fatalism. Well, tough luck, because as far as the mechanics of this world is, the fact that there is one main world timeline, that is indeed fatalism. That is predeterminism, right? It is a set event in history or through the flow of time that Mayushi is going to die on August 13th, right? That is predetermined. And so I guess that's why they say they need to shift it over 1% or whatnot to jump to an entirely different timeline, which is more akin to what the original MWI of quantum mechanics would refer to. These kinds of infinite different universes that are infinite possibilities with lots and lots of different outcomes. So we got that part, but again, there's still some parts of this entire time travel thing that are not explained. Particularly, I do wonder how they are going to explain causality, right? The most classic, causality paradox would be if you invented the time machine and then you went back in time to kill yourself, right? So that creates a paradox. How are you able to go back in time if you are dead and you never invented time machine, right? So I wonder, especially since we now see a full-fledged time machine here and we have confirmation of actual physical travel through time with Suzu, right? It's, this type of question is definitely going to crop up. What is going to happen, for instance, if Suzu kills Okabe right here and there, right here? What's going to happen then? Is it simply going to be that since a time machine is also the invention of it, or the construction of it is also a set piece in time, people's memories are just going to simply be rewritten until maybe somebody else actually invents the time machine and whatnot, and so all the other events are still on the same track, or we'll see how they try to explain this entire thing. Also, with this episode, I feel like some other things from the earlier episodes can also be cleared up. Like, say for instance, of course the obvious one is what exactly that satellite is, but also I do believe that this is probably why within the first episode we had Okabe's reading Steiner activate, right? Even though he didn't invent the D-mail and whatnot yet. I pretty much believe that reading Steiner activated because Suzu transported back in time to this year, 2010, I believe, using the time machine, right? And since the act of her doing this is already enough to disrupt time, to disrupt this current history from the events that they would originally be on, that is why his reading Steiner activated. And so really, in essence, the fact that Suzu came back in time was already enough to shift the timelines, though probably not towards the 1% divergence rate, right? So that's probably what happened. And since, they do now know about the time machine, a lot of the other things that I speculated on probably proved to be true as well, such as Okabe going back in time to meet Kirusu before she actually meets with the that current timeline Okabe, if you get what I mean. So that's why when she first met Okabe, she was like, what were you trying to tell me earlier, right? So that's probably because another Okabe had already went and made contact with Kirusu, right? As well as, the IBN being in the warehouse or something. Well, okay, that one I'm a bit not so sure upon, but it's also a possibility there, right? So yeah, that takes out that part. Oh, but then also I have another sort of theory here, which is pertaining to the future, actually, 2036, because Suzu has already said, okay, it is you, Okabe, who invented this time machine, or well, maybe not quite invented the time machine, but at least he invented the divergence meter, right? So I'm also going to assume that he probably worked in the future on this time machine as well. So my prediction right now is actually that in that original, or in the timeline that Suzu comes from, probably Okabe, Kirusu, and Daru work with CERN. They work with CERN in order to actually develop a time machine, which, again, speculation, but I believe is because the current technology that they have, the D-mail and the time leap device, is not adequate enough to save Mayuri's life, right? Using these two methods, they probably can't cross the 1% divergence rate. And that is why they needed to wait and then actually get something a bit stronger, the time machine, so that they can try to cross that 1% threshold. At least that's what I'm going for now. That would also make sense as to why, yeah, basically, I feel like this makes logical sense to me. But we shall see, right? And then again, if this theory does prove to be true, then we still get that looping, time loop thingy where, okay, so now you need to do this, and then once you're in the future, you need to make sure to send somebody back to tell you that you need to do this, otherwise this whole thing wouldn't work, right? So then it gets really complicated, but we'll see. Now, I am going to be immediately watching the next one, a continuation viewing, so I'm not going to dwell too much on this episode. I'll just see you guys in the next one. So stay tuned. Bye bye.